to the all right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Nun Hey, Maseches Gittin. So we got to the Mishnah 4 lines from the top on Nun Hey Amud Aleph. Zak Mishnah Heid Rabbi Yechlan ben Gudguda al Chareshus Shesiga Avia She Yaitza Beget. So one of the testimonies on that day. This was a day when I guess there was a change of Nesius. And Rabbi Yechlan ben Gudguda, he testified about a Chareshus, a deaf mute, that her father married her off, that she goes out with the get, that even though it's a Doraisa marriage because her father married her off, right, and she's basically equivalent to a Katana, right, and that nevertheless is Doraisa in Nunhe. So, nevertheless, he can go ahead and give her a get. Why is that? Because we find that a woman can receive a get bal karcha, right? Did I say give a get? And then get a get bal karcha, right? So therefore, we see the das is now required, and therefore they said to Mazakin that a charesh can go ahead and receive a get. The al katana bas Yisrael and a katana bas Yisrael shanises the kohen, that a katana bas Yisrael who was married to a kohen. Once again, by her, and this is a case of that she was the Yisema. Once again, that it was only a Durabanan marriage that let's say her mother and older brother married her off. That she eats Petruma, even though that her marriage is only Durabanan. The Mesa, and if she dies, by Liyosha, then her husband goes ahead and he yarshins her, he inherits her. And another takana was the Alamerish Hagazel, and let's say that a beam that was stolen, Shabana Vira, that was built into a building, and all of a sudden, so yes, return it. He can't return it. He has to tear down the building. She tells them up that he only pays the money to takana sashav in order that to allow people to do tshuva, because they know if they have to tear down their house, they're not going to do tshuva. The achatas, agzula, and also a chatas that was stolen. In other words, person stole. He owed a chatas, and he stole an animal. So shaloi noidel rab, that nobody else knows it's stolen. Shehim mechaperes, that it actually does work as a chatas mipnei tikkun hamizbeach, because of the tikkun hamizbeach. In order for the benefit of the mizbeach, the Gemara will explain. So zak the Gemara Amar Rava Eidusa Shalei ben Gudguda from the testimony of Ben Gudguda Amar, the Eidim person says to witnesses, Ru get zeh sheni naisin la. This is a get I'm going to give to my wife. The chazer. And he sees his wife, he says, sweetie, kinsi shtar chayiv, take this debt document, right, the shtar chayiv, but even though it was folded over and it was a get, hareza megareshes, she is megareshes. Why is that? What's the shaykh's Mishnah? So right? Our Mishnah says you don't need das. Even a chareshus, a deaf mute who is not considered to be a bardas, can receive a get. So too, a woman who thinks she's getting a debt document, a loan document, and is getting a get, but she accepts it in her hand, that she is so hachinami leibin and dait. So over here we do not need das. Gemara says pshita, it's obvious. So Mazim Wolodjev said, "Kaven the Amar Kinsi the Shtar Chayiv says, since he said take this debt document, the Tuli Batley." Maybe he's mavato that which he says I'm giving her a get. Amash Malon, if it was a taka that he wanted to be mavato his, the get and not give it, he would have told the witnesses before he gave it to her that I'm being mavato this get. But the Kamer the reason why he didn't say, hey, here's your get, rather he says, here's your document. Because he's still scared of his wife. He's embarrassed to tell his wife that I'm divorcing you, and therefore he wants to get out of that awkward moment. So and therefore the divorce does work in such a case. Wow. So then the Mishnah says, "V'al bas Yisrael." Now, for a katana who's a bas Yisrael, was married off by her, let's say her brother, but it doesn't say a chareshus. Now, the first case was a deaf mute. Why didn't the Mishnah continue with the deaf mute and say also a guy with the deaf mute, they're allowed to go ahead and have truma? There must be, but they're not allowed to. Chareshus would not be able to go ahead. My time, or what's the reason? Because what's going to happen if we allow somebody who has capacity to go ahead and give her to eat, right? And he'll watch over and make sure that it's not given to the other parties. But if you have a deaf mute who's married to a chareshes, also a derabanan marriage, so therefore she might go ahead and give it to her family members. Excuse me, sorry, I jumped over, right? Okay. The chareshes. So he might, in that case, might happen. So Gar says, what's the big deal if a charesh is a chareshes, right? Right? It's like neither one is responsible for their actions. It's not a punishable action. The Gemara says, no, right? Perhaps a deaf mute who's married to a chareshes, a deaf mute who's married to a pikachas, a regular woman, right? That their marriage is only derabanan because he can't really acquire because he's not a bardas. So in that case, he might go ahead and feed her, and then from there. So so let her go ahead and eat Truma D'Rabbanan, right? They have a D'Rabbanan marriage, so let her only eat something which is Chayiv Truma D'Rabbanan. So Gemara says, no, Gzeir Hashem Asi Lecha B'Truma D'Oraisa. Might come to go ahead and feed her Truma D'Oraisa, so therefore we don't want to start with the case of the Chareshes. Fine. And then we say, Valmarish, Hagazah Shabanu, so a beam that was built into a house that he wants to go ahead and do tshuva, he just has to pay money, not return the beam. So Tan Rabbanan Gazal Meirish Ubana B'Bira, they Shama Yomim, Mekakeh Kol Bira. You have to go ahead and tear down the house, give the beam back to the owner. However, rather go ahead and pay him the value of the beam because we want people to do tshuva, and therefore we want to make tshuva accessible to them by they just write a check as opposed to returning the beam and tearing down their house. And also a chatas that was stolen could be used if it was not known by the public. So whether people who are aware of this animal is stolen or not, it does not work. My time, what's the reason? Because Yeush on its own doesn't work. He doesn't acquire the animal. If I don't acquire this animal, then it can't work as my chatas.
It's already been designated for hector.
No. I stole an animal and then I brought it for my chatas. So it doesn't work because it
stolen. It doesn't matter.
Even if you stole it.
It was a chatas before he stole it?
No. He owed a chatas. He stole an animal and wanted to bring it as a chatas.
Oh, okay.
Where's David Shogeg?
It doesn't, but I'm saying you can't bring it as a korban.
No. Over here, he's chayv chatas for something else. He was machal Shabbos b'shogeg, right? He was chayv chatas. So in order to fulfill his obligation, he went to his neighbor's yard and took it. So really, Midaraisa, that doesn't work. Right? Yeah. So it doesn't work. Why is that? Because he didn't acquire it. If I didn't acquire it, it's not my animal. Well, what's the reason why they say like nobody knows that it was stolen mechaperes? It works. So the Kohanim won't be sad. In other words, if we allow him to go ahead and bring it, then really this animal is not hektish because he can't be mocked to someone else's animal. And therefore, when they go ahead and they eat it, right, they take the parts of the chatas, the Kohanim are going to be upset. So therefore, in order to not to upset the Kohanim, if nobody knows that this chatas, right, is not stolen, right, it's stolen, then it, so let's see. So I'm related to Rabbanan Leula. Banan mipnei tikun hamizbeach tanan. This is tikun mizbeach. This doesn't sound like tikun mizbeach. Some of them kevan deklan atzavim, since they're going to be sad, and we now are going to allow these karbanos to be brought. Means a mizbeach batel. Then if it wasn't for the fact that the mizbeach will be batel, so therefore if we allow these animals to be brought, they'll be good. You don't like it, but I think you like Rav Yehuda a little better. So Rav Yehuda Amar. Whether people know I took the animal or I didn't steal or that was stolen or not stolen, right? It works. Why? My time of Yesh because Yeush, the owner's Yeush, allows me to acquire it, and therefore it's my animal. Yes, I have another sin I got to worry about, the gzela, right? But nevertheless, the carbon works. And what's the reason why they say if people know about it, it's not mechaper? People won't say, "Oh, the mizbeach, eats stolen, eats stolen items." They do it, but I acquired it. It's mine. Yes, I have an avera, right? Okay, I got an X next to my name, right? I get a D for my behavior that day, right? But nevertheless, the carbon works.
You allow the korban, but it's-
Yeah, it works. And it works. Everything works, but the only issue is now you have a problem of sale.
Now you gotta bring
you
it
know,
up.
a lot of- it's okay, but it's not acceptable.
Right.
Here's-
No, it fulfills his obligation. No, he doesn't need to do kapara again. Right.
Now he's gotta bring an usham for it.
He has exilish, yeah. Now, the Gemara says, so be shlomalula.
He didn't say much.
All right. So be shlomalula hainu dektani chatas. So according to Ula, who says specifically we're talking about a chatas, right? As Mark a little bit pointed out that we're talking about what he requires atonement. So according to Ula, we're talking about where he gets atonement, and therefore the Kohanim are going out to eat it. Elo Rav Yehuda, but according to Rav Yehuda, ma'iri chatas. Why say chatas? If you oila nami, it should be even an ola, right? And the mizbeach is oichel oila gzela nami. So I answered lo by oila the talil. He not only the ola that's completely consumed on the mizbeach, and therefore the vada you can say the mizbeach is of gzelas. And afilu chatas nami, even a chatas also the chelav adam with the sali the guy is better. Only the chelav and the dam goes on the mizbeach. Vida kwanim achlile, and the kwanim eat the rest of it. Afilu hachi, nevertheless. Gazer shelo yibram mizbeach oichel gazelas. Nevertheless,
That's
in
it.
the other case.
So you're not Joseph.
So Tanan al chadas hagzula shelo yinoida l'rabim shimechaperes mipnei tigan hamizbeach.
That's a people.
So chadas that is stolen. So yeah, what do you mean? A chatas,
Or not consumed by the Mizbeach, but it's.
if it is known, right? If it is known by people, it does not work. Only if nobody knows about it.
Only if nobody knows.
Nobody knows about it, then we're allowed. If it's known, why is that? So that's machlokes. Whether it's because people are going to say that Mizbeach eats stolen karbanos, or because that is going to turn out when the Kohanim find out that they ate something that wasn't hektish, they're going to be upset. So we'll say it works if nobody knows about it. Now, so then we have a mission that says it wasn't in front of the public. It does provide atonement because it's Tikkun Mizbeach. So Bishlam Ula needs to point to Ula makes sense because that's we're talking about Tikkun Mizbeach. El Rav Yehuda, according to Rav Yehuda, it's not that it's mechaper because of Tikkun. It's always mechaper because Yeush is Kona. So Gemara says Hachanami Kona. No, that's what I meant to say. Lainaida mechaperis, right? If no one knew about it, then it's mechaper because that's normal halacha. But if it's naida, if it's known that ain't a mechaper, is a special takana that's not mechaper, but ain't tikkun mizbeach because of tikkun mizbeach. So Meisiv Rava Rav Kasha Ganav, person stole an item. The hikdish stole an animal, right? The hikdish then he's makdish the animal. V'acharkach tovach umachar. Then afterwards he shechs it and sells it. Now normally one is chayiv 4 or 5 times the amount, whether it's a sheep or an ox. The shaleb tashlumi kefel. He only pays kefel. In other words, over here, because of once in this case, we do not say that the shchita and all that works in this case. He only pays the kefel. He doesn't pay dal chamisha. Right? He doesn't pay. I'm sorry. No, because it's hektish. Because it was hektish. Because it was hektish now. So therefore, he stole something. You're chayiv double, and then since he's makdish it, he doesn't pay 4 or 5.
Because
Right. So the Tanya law, it says it there. Bachutz, if he shechted outside, he agav the onish karis. So he gets karis. Why? Shchutei chutz. Via Marta Yeush Chadilei Kani, and if you say Yeush does not acquire it, Karis Mavi does say. What are you talking about Karis over here, right? How could he get Karis? Right? It's not his, it wasn't hektish because he didn't acquire it. Some Rav Shizvi, Karis Midivreya. So Karis Midrabana. Zachuche Aleha. Right? So they mocked him, they laughed at him. Karis Midivreya Miiko was such a thing, right? Such a thing as Karis Midrabanan. So Rava said to them, Gava Rabba Milsa, later Chichola. If a great man, a great rabbi says something, then it's not something to mock at. Rather, you have to understand what he says. What he meant to say was Karis Sha'al Yidei Divrayim Basalai. In other words, it's not that a punishment that's given out by the Rabbanan. Rather, the Rabbanan make it as if you did acquire it now to be makdish it, and therefore you're settled, so you could get Karis. And look at the Rabbanan B'Shus say, and the Rabbanan established it in his possession, in order for him to be chayiv for it. And Amar Rava Havada coming boiling. Over here, this is definitely a question. Kiyakim the Rabbanan B'Shus say, so he just said it's in his possession, and he's makdish it, now it is hektish. So when they say it's considered to be his, is it Mishas Geneva, from the time he sold it on January 1st, or Mishas Hikdisha, or on February 1st when he's makdish the animal? So Lamai Nafkamina, what's Nafkamina? The Gezusei, if the animal gave birth in between, or you sheared the animal, now you got some wool, so who can keep that? Is he, if it's from January 1st, so you have to pay then, so therefore it's a lower amount. If it's February 1st, then he has to pay the higher amount because he has to also pay for the other items he stole. So what's from the later Zman, he has to pay more. Why? In order that the person who did the Beira is not rewarded. Fine. Now your Mishnah. Mishnah says some people might be more familiar with these from this Mishnah on a little bit. So this they might learn it on Tisha B'Av. Lahaya Sikrukin beYehuda Baharuge Milchama. The 3 weeks. So he said there was not this halacha of Sikrikun in Yehuda, right, the Yerushalayim area during the war with the Romans. In other words, there was a special halacha that these people basically tried to go ahead. The Romans tried to seize the field, and people basically sold their field to the Goyim, to the Chavim. They didn't want to sell it, but they sort of did it to sort of save themselves to sell it. And now when other people come back and the Goyim want to sell to Jews, if you buy it from this guy, does that work or not? Or maybe it's still the original owners. So whose is it? So the halachas did not apply during the Milchama. However, from after the war, Sikrikun. There was halachas of Sikrikun. So Ketzad, what is this halachas of Sikrikun? So Sikrikun. So let's say one goes ahead and buys the Sikrikun. So this guy, Bob, he seized a field, right? When he said he seized it, he bought it at a discount, right? From Yigal, he says he basically he's coerced into selling it to him. So Yigal sold this field to Bob, right? And not for a good price. Then I made a deal with Bob. Okay, I'll buy the field from him. Bob made a nice profit. Now, then I went ahead and locked up me balabayis, right? And then I went to basically the Sikrukin says, okay, just go ahead and go to Yigal, make sure it's his. And Yigal said, oh, sure, Yoel, it's yours. That is batal. Why? Because the only reason why Yigal actually sold it or agreed to be buying it for Bob is because once again he was coerced. So he said, however, Balabais, let's say first I went to the Balabais, I went to Yigal, says, hey, I'm going to buy the field. Is that okay? I give Yigal a few bucks. Then I was a Sikrukin and I made a deal with him. Mechel Kaim. Then the Mechel Kaim because Yigal agreed to it first before any pressure from the Sikrukin. Lokach Midish, a person goes ahead and buys a field from a man, which is basically going to potentially be the ksuba for the wife. And the Chazal Lokach Midisha, then he goes to the wife and says, hey, your husband agreed to sell it to me, I'm going to buy it from you. And she once again feels pressured by her husband. Mechel Batal. There's such a sale as Batal. However, Midisha, if I first made a deal with a woman, the Chazal Lokach Midisha, then I went to the husband, and Mechel Kaim, then the Mechel Kaim. And Zel Mishnah Mishayna. This was how it was taught at the beginning. How it says based on Shacharayim Amru. However, based on afterwards said, Halokeach mi Sikrukin Naisen Labal and Ravia. If I go ahead and buy it from Bob, the Roman, right? Then I have to go to Yigal and pay him a quarter of the price because basically Bob got it at a discount. It was worth 100,000. He gave Yigal 75,000. Yigal said, "Oh, fair price." So I got to go ahead and give Yigal a Ravia 25%, and then I make the deal with Bob, and then I can go ahead and keep it. A Masai, when is this? This is only talking about time when, let's say, Yigal wasn't able to go ahead and buy it back. Aval yesh b'yadam likach, but if Yigal had the opportunity to go ahead and buy his land back, then Yigal comes before anybody else, no one else allowed to buy it. And Rabbi Yoshi based it in so Rabbi He set up a base and they decided Sheim Haisa, the Fnei, Sikrukin, Shneim Sarchedesh, and Sikrukin Bab. The Roman had it for 12 months, and Yigal never bought it back. Then whoever wants to go ahead is able to go ahead and buy it. Zacha, he's able to go ahead and buy it. About nice in the Bala review, but he has to go ahead and go back to Yigal, the original owner, and give the 25%. So Zak the Gemara. So Hashka Barugi Mechama Loya Basikrukin, Bahargi Mechama Veda Chish Basikrukin. I understand, right? During the time of the war, certainly there was a lot of forced coerced buying. So why does it make sense that only after the war there was coerced buying, but there was no before? So Rav Yehuda Loi Danu Badin Sikrukin Kamar means that there was no din of Sikrukin Kamar. What do you mean? Dam Rabasi Gimel Gezeros Gazr. There were 3 different Gezeros guys at the time. Gezeros Kamai. So the first Gezerah was Kad Loi Katil Liktinu. Whoever does not go ahead and kill a Jew will be killed. So therefore, people were being, let's say they're trying to save their lives. So therefore, when they're trying to save their lives, they wanted to go ahead and sell their field. They had the das, take my field, please. So therefore, such a sale is valid. And even in the middle, called the Katil Laisu Arba Zuze, right? Whoever goes ahead and kills, he has to pay a small penalty of $4, right? So $4. Therefore, Jews were still being killed, and therefore people were selling their lands, with their complete will. However, but the end called the Katil Liktinu. If you kill a Jew, then you'll be killed. Therefore, in the beginning, when people were lives were at risk, people's lives were at risk, they were willing to go ahead and sell their fields happily. However, but in the end, right, when they weren't allowed to kill Jews, and someone says, "Hey, I'm going to go. I want to buy your field," so such a person does not really need to sell his field because he doesn't need to save his life because the person's not going to kill him. So he says, "Okay, I'll take the money now. Then tomorrow I'll take it to base and I'll get my field back." So therefore, in that case, if he sold him when the third Gezerah, he didn't really have in mind to go ahead and sell. Since he did have in mind to sell to Aved Chavim, therefore that's when the halachas of Sikrukin apply.
Who is killing?
The Romans, the guy.
The Romans
It'd
were
be-
killing
right.
Jews.
Right. So in the beginning, they were encouraged to kill Jews. So therefore, Jews
The
were
Romans were encouraged.
right. So therefore, Jews were goyim or magne. They decided, okay, I'll sell my field. But- right. But they weren't when they weren't allowed to kill Jews, and a Jew sold it. He didn't really want to be goyim or magne. He just felt, I'll go ahead and take him to court, and I'll get my field back. So therefore, that's not a real sale. Therefore, if I buy it from the guy, the guy didn't really buy it because the guy only had it temporarily because the original owner thought he was going to get it back from base. So what does it mean? Praiseworthy is a person, or fortunate is the person who is constantly scared, and his heart and heart will bad will fall. That is referring to a kamsa, bar kamsa, charav Yerushalayim, because of kamsa, bar kamsa, Yerushalayim is destroyed. Our Tarnagalav, Tarnagalasa, Charav Turmalka, and because of the rooster and the hen, Turmalka was destroyed, and Ashaka the Risbak, and also the side of the what was this Ashaka Risbak Doifer of the wall Shemar Keves, right, of a wagon, Charav Beitar. Beitar was destroyed. We'll get to all those cases. Let's just start the first case. Kamsa Bar Kamsa, Charav Yerushalayim, because of Bar Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, Yerushalayim was destroyed. So Gav the Rachmei Kamsa. There was a person who liked Kamsa. And he was enemies with Bar Kamsa. Obviously, he was making a wedding, a festive meal. So he told the Shamash, Zil Aisele Kamsa, go ahead and get my good friend Kamsa. Azil Aisele Bar Kamsa, he mixed up the invitations and he got Bar Kamsa. Also, Ashkei Haviyasi, he saw Bar Kamsa was sitting at this guy's Suda. Who? My buddy's Hacha, right? I see my enemy is here. You, Bar Kamsa, you're here? What are you doing here? Kumpuk, get out of here. So he says, listen, since I'm already here, let me just eat. I'll pay for whatever you eat, drink. So he answered, top of the page. He says, no, not a chance. I'll let you go ahead and pay for your own meal and stay here. So I'll pay for half of your sudas. He said, no. I'll pay for the entire meal. They took him, they grabbed him, they threw him out. And he said, since the Rabbanan were there and they didn't stop this, right? I see that it was good for that they approved of such behavior. I'm going to go ahead and cause problems and say lashon hara, right, about the Jews to the house of the Beit Malka, right, to the palace. So Azil, Amalei the case, he went to the Caesar. He says, "Mardibucha Yehudai." So the Jews are rebelling. Samalei miyemer. How do you know? Samalei shadalu karbana. Right, go ahead, try to send a carbon with him. Chazis ima kavin lei. Right, we'll see if they offer it. So Azil shadabiyah. So they gave it to Bar Kamsa to take this animal to the Jews. So Aglatilsa, he took the calf. Bahadi kasi. And when he was going, Shadlei Muma, he put a mum in it, and he was society, either in the lip or like a cataract, a mum in the eye. And this is a duchta de ledidan havi muma ledidu la muma, right? So it was in a place. It was a type of blemish that was a blemish for the Jews not to offer a korban, but not a blemish. The Romans did not view this as a blemish. So in their eyes, it was an unblemished animal. So Sabra, but like Rubes, the Rabbanan says, you know what, we should really send this from the house of the Caesar. He's going to be upset. Shum Shalom Malchus, because the Shalom Malchus, Samalu, Rabbi Zachariah ben Apollos, Yodru Bali Mumen Karchilu Gavim Mizbeach. People are going to say that you're allowed to go ahead and offer Bali Mumen Mizbeach. We can't allow it to be offered. So Sabra, the Mikta says, okay, I have a better idea. Maybe we'll go ahead and we'll kill Bar Kamsa. The word will never get back to the Rabbanan. So you won't tell them. Rabbi Zachariah says, Rabbi Zachariah, Yadru Matil Mubakachim Yaring. People say, if you go ahead and put a mum and kachim, the punishment is death. And that's not the halacha. And Rabbi Yechon says, Suna so showed Rabbi Zachariah ben Avkalos from the Rashi calls it Savlonaiso, right, from his patience of Rabbi Zachariah, says, hey, can't kill him from his patience. Harchivas Bathenu. Right, our house was destroyed. V'sarvas Chalenu, and our heichal was burnt down. And we were sent into Galus. So we'll continue tomorrow with more of the story of Hashem. Everyone have a wonderful day, and see you tomorrow.
What's the last line? Yeah.